Thank you again. Let's begin with our question and answer session. We have the first participant from the Tecnológico de Estudios Superiores de Ecatepec, Mexico. Greetings. The question is, you have explained with eloquence the concept of sustainable networks as organic systems, where the neurological centers are provided by cloud computing and technologies. How affordable and available are these technologies, particularly in developing countries?
Access to the cloud-based technologies are increasingly affordable and available, and due to their virtual nature, these systems and services provide instantaneous, unlimited, simultaneous access to their user base globally and very inexpensively. These types of configurations and the access to their software as a service are available on a pay-as-you-go basis. This method of service costs only a fraction of what each member would usually budget to own a proprietary ICT networking using their own hardware and software, which they would have to maintain and eventually replace.
Thank you. We have a second participant from BF Almeida and Associates in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The question is, governmental organizations have, by nature of their political and interest group realities, a high level of negative synergy or positive entropy. What would be your suggestion to them to counteract this reality that renders them ineffective even in networked environments?
Synchronization as a strategy to align their internal and external dynamics is most efficiently achieved when the organization's participation attains a minimal critical mass of 15 to 20% of all personnel in these organizational development and change activities. Organizations can gain an immediate internal advantage by investing in their workforce skill development in the global competency courses such as the ones offered by STGKU. I invite you to visit with www.sdgku.com.
Thank you. We have another participant from Universidad Tecnológica de Nezahualcóyotl, UTN, in Nezahualcóyotl, State of Mexico, Mexico. The question is, given that Metcalfe's law tells us that the usefulness of a network equals the square of the number of its users, all organizations must urgently become network systems with the goal of maximizing the number of internal and external participants given the geometric jump in their effectiveness. Why isn't this message publicized more in managerial and competitiveness forums?
Because the recognition that powerful networks of groups and individuals have replaced the traditional interaction between people as individuals and the organizations, institutions, and the businesses with which they interact is still sinking in the minds of many executives and leaders. With the advent of the rapidly diffused expansion of the cloud computing capability, it is becoming obvious that the most efficient way to achieve an enhanced leverage multiplier is through the use of a mutually beneficial networked collaboration.
Thank you for your response. Our next participant is from St. Thomas Global Institute, STGI, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. The question is, I find your term cooperation quite fascinating in the context of networked organizations. Can you elaborate on this?
The concept of sharing our strengths as a way of both competing and leveraging complementary attributes to gain synergistic advantages that would not otherwise be available without the joint formation of a cooperative entities, thus the term cooperation. The concept of cooperation encourages organizations, which usually provide a wide array of products or services, to link with other concerns which may complement one or more of the other company's products or services. An enlightened management will leverage their competitors' relationships to provide a value-added enhancement by combining, where practical, the products or services to ultimately produce a higher quality value-added result for their customers. The best example of this concept is the cooperative spirit exhibited by the long-term and very successful relationship struck by Intel and IBM. IBM had a large installed base, and it was more effective for them to incorporate the Intel chip in their PC computers while they still used IBM products in their larger systems. Both companies benefited greatly by their cooperation.
Our next participant is from Comisión Federal de Electricidad, CFE, Dirección de Operación in Mexico City, Mexico. The question is, you mentioned in your excellent presentation that it is the organization's personnel, technology, and the level of its knowledge base which provides its foundational capability to contribute significantly to a unified networked operation. Is this the ETK model needed for organizational synchronization?
Yes, without an ETK-based organizational development process resulting in synchronization, most organizations operate in a suboptimized fashion. If other organizations are also suboptimized, you would lose the promise of the potentiality achieved through the combinations of synchronized units. An example of the successes that can be achieved via a highly synchronized network is the continuous operations of the International Space Station. While certain aspects of the political reality experienced on Earth doesn't work very smoothly at times, the expert scientists, engineers, operations specialists, and astronauts from around the world work as a very effective, well-skilled, unified team. Their well-honed skills, regardless of national origin or cultures, permit the synchronization of their disciplines to provide an enormous leverage multiplier.
Our next question is from Tianjin College of Commerce, TCC, in Tianjin, China. The question is, I found quite interesting your remarks that leadership is more important than ever in this new era of synchronized organizations and value chain networks, and that current literature supports transformational leadership as the most effective of the three styles. Can you elaborate on this?
The transformation of a traditional organizational structure to a networked organization requires changes in the collective mentality of the workforce. The traditional hierarchies and processes generally associated with traditional operations must also be transformed to one of instantaneous interactivity. Decisions and the consequences of those decisions are happening in real time. Or, as Bill Gates so aptly puts it, we're conducting business at the speed of thought. The day of the telephone call to a file clerk to retrieve an important document from the filing cabinet and send it to another department by internal mail or courier is over. Only transformationally oriented leaders utilizing the most effective education and training programs available can bring about the behavioral change of the workforce needed to implement this new style of synchronized operations. The effectiveness of the ETK method to support transformational innovations has been scientifically validated, and the STGKU archive provides the educational courses to help expedite the transformational processes.